This is the Active Church. To God be the glory.
Acts chapter 2, verse 46 says, this talking about the early church. So continuing daily. Tell the person next to you daily. It's a daily thing. It's not a weekly thing. It's not a Sunday thing. When people tell you you already went to church on Sunday, why are you going to church again? It's not a Sunday thing. It's a daily thing. So continuing daily with one accord. They were united. They had one vision, one dream. It was God's dream. In one accord in the temple. They came to church. This is the temple of the new covenant. And breaking bread from house to house. That's cell groups. Every day, they would meet in cell groups. They'd have communion in the cell groups. They ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. If you're a Christian and you're sad, there's a problem. You're not supposed to be sad. How can you be sad when you see what God has given you? When you see the power that's available to you, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is available to you. How can you be sad? If you're sad, there's a problem. If you're sad, it means you need to change. And simplicity of heart. You know, wherever God is, things are simple. When things become complicated, it's because there's sin. It's like the lady who's explaining to their kid why they left their husband. And they're trying to explain and saying it's complicated. It's not complicated, it's sinful. Wherever there's sin, there's complication. Praising God and having favor with all the people. And when that happens, the Lord added daily to the number those that were being saved. We then went on and we looked at the ark of God. And we looked at when David went to get back the ark, and the ark represented the presence of God. And when the presence of God was there in the old covenant, you had three things in the ark. The first was manna, which represented provision. When the presence of God is there, He provides for you. That's the first thing where it comes with the presence of God, is that He provides for you. And then we also see the tablets, which is the law. The tablets upon which God wrote the law of Moses. And this is the revelation of the Word or the will of God. If you know the will of God, if you know what God wants you to do in your life, it changes your life. It gives you purpose. You're able to live for purpose. And the third thing was the stick of Aaron. And the stick of Aaron was a time when the Israelites came and they challenged the priesthood of Aaron, and they put the sticks of each of these guys who were challenging. There were 12 of them in all. And the next morning when they came, Aaron's dead stick had now began to sprout branches. And so they knew this is God's man. A stick doesn't produce branches. And so the stick represents the supernatural, a revelation of the supernatural power of God. What happened with the Israelites, though, they got familiar with the presence of God. And so they lost the ark, they lost the presence of God. David then wins it back. He wants to take it back. One of his guys dies because David hadn't handled the presence of God correctly. He hadn't respected the presence of God. And so David gets offended. It goes to the house of a man by the name of Obed-Edom. And so because he was doing things his own way and things hadn't worked out, David was not willing to have the presence of God in his home. And so today, we ask the question, how do we bring the ark of God into our house? How does the ark come into our house? Because we want the ark in our house because that's where the presence is. How do I bring the presence of God into my home? When I decide to host a cell group. Just in this room right now. Just in this room. They're probably close on 260, 250 people. Imagine if every person here decides in their heart, the presence of God's going to be in my house. I'm going to open a cell group. I'm going to open a cell group in my school. I'm going to open a cell group in my workplace. I'm going to open a cell group in my university. Imagine the power of it. Imagine the presence of God being in all of those homes. In the early church, it was normal for them to meet from house to house. It was normal for them to have cell groups in their houses. In the early church, it was the norm for the church to be in a house. Because every time a cell group happens, wherever that cell group happens, the church is there. But when we look like King David, not everyone is willing. Not everyone is willing. Many don't want the ark, but they want the blessing. Everyone wants the blessing of God. You remember that vroom we spoke about a few weeks ago? Vroom, vroom. We want that power. We want that engine. Vroom. Pop, 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 pop. Vroom, vroom. We want that power. But we're not prepared to have the presence of God. And then we see why. Because maybe we're afraid. Maybe we're scared. And you say, nah, not in my house. Let's have it in Mary's house. Why? No, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what Mary will think of my house. And the other thing is, oh, by the way, if I have a cell group in my house, I can't watch TV. And if I have a cell group in my house, I have to go. Whereas if it's in Mary's house and I don't want to go, I don't have to go. So no, let it not be in my business. Let it be in Sipho's business. Let it be in Bill's business. Let it be in Frank's company. My house is not big enough. Excuse, excuse, excuse. And then you tell me, Gavin, my house is not blessed. This went wrong, that went wrong, the next thing went wrong, everything went wrong. My house is not blessed. Why is your household not blessed? I want you all to look at me and I want you to hear this. One or two sitting over there look like they sleep. I want you to hear this. Your house is not blessed because your house is captured by illegal tenants. You know what a tenant is? A tenant is someone who stays in your house, and a tenant is supposed to pay rent. And you have some illegal tenants in your house. What are those tenants? They're called demons. And they don't come and knock on your door and say, hi, please may I come in? I'd like to stay in your house and cause nonsense. They just come there. They come there whether you want them or not. And they come and they check your house. Oh, this is a Christian. Let's check if the ark's there. Let's check if the presence of God is in this house. Oh, no, it's not. Let's go for it. The only thing that scares the devil is the presence of God. If you look at the demons there and you see them in the Gospels, the only time they were afraid is when Jesus came. And so then you wonder, I'm a Christian. Why are my children not serving the Lord? I'm a Christian. Why is my house in so much chaos? I'll tell you, because there's darkness in your house. The light isn't there. And so now you have issues and you have problems. And the thing is, when you have a cell group in your house, you bring a protection. And by the way, when we talk about having a cell group in your house, you don't have to run it. You can be the host. A few weeks ago, we spoke about Cornelius. And Cornelius was the first group, and the people in his house, they were the first group of Gentiles that believed in the book of Acts. And what did Cornelius do? He hosted a cell group in his house, and the Apostle Peter came, and he was the cell leader. I'm a pastor, and even today, a cell group meets in my house. People get saved there. When you look at our family, it's not that we're perfect. But the presence of God is there. Every week we have a family cell. You need to open your places to hosting a cell group. You need to open your home. You need to open your business. You need to open your university class or your school class. You need to open where you are. When Obed-Edom had the opportunity, he accepted the presence of God. And so the fifth point is that the cell brings provision, purpose, and power into the home. But in order for this provision, purpose, and power to come to the home, and those were the three aspects of the ark. But in order for this to happen, the ark has to do what it did in Obed-Edom's house. It has to remain there. Tell the person next to you, it has to remain there. It's got to remain there all the time. You can never ever live without the presence of God. And continually means daily. It means don't give up. Because guess what? I can promise you now, when you decide you want to host a cell group, you're going to start off, and the first challenge you're going to have, unless you are extremely lucky, is you're going to have a struggle to get people to your cell group. They're busy already. They live in Joburg. People in Joburg sometimes are busy. They all think they're busy. Some of them really are. And so they don't think they've got time to come to a cell group. But once they know the power that's in the presence of God, they will come. And so we see that the Lord singled out Obed-Edom's house for a massive blessing. And if you want that blessing over your house, you need to be an initiator. You need to be a starter. Now, when you start this thing, and I want you to listen to me, it's not that easy, because there's this thing you got now, and there's no momentum to it. You got to start pushing. It's like trying to push a car that can't start. And in the beginning, it takes some work. And God has done all the work to save you. He's done all the work to forgive your sins. But when you start doing the work of the Lord, you're the one that initiates. He watches to see your faithfulness, and then He comes and He adds His Holy Spirit power to you. And after a while, He starts building the momentum. And somewhere the thing starts happening where you get momentum beyond anything you could believe. But David, when he heard about the blessing, he heard that Obed-Edom's house was being so blessed, he realized he needs to bring the ark back to Jerusalem. Because if Obed-Edom has it, only his household is being blessed, the whole city should be blessed. I want you to look at me. Why is it that only you guys sitting in church should be blessed by the presence of God? You have a responsibility to make sure that the whole of Joburg is blessed by the presence of God in their homes. And people need the blessing of God in their homes. The homes are a mess. People's families are a mess. People's lives are a mess. And the only way that it's going to be restored, and the only way that it's going to be changed, is when the presence of God comes and intersects their lives. It's not going to happen any other way. And what we want is penetrating cell groups that are penetrating the darkness. They're penetrating the darkness. Kenny, can you come up here? This is Kenny. Kenny, do you have a cell group running in your house? Why? Because you're supposed to start a cell group. Is it? And you wanted to, or you were supposed to? You wanted to. Are you sure? You sure? Okay, hundreds, all right. And what is it like when you're running a cell group in your home? That's weird. You're scared your mother sees you. What's she going to say when you're sitting there with the Bible preaching these acts and she knows what you did with your washing this morning? It was all over the house, eh? Hey? And you didn't do your homework and the teacher phoned your mother. It's weird, eh? And then what happened after a while? Everyone settled down. I'm just repeating so I accidentally can hear. Then who started listening? Your friends. So now you're having to lead your friends. That was also weird. They don't like to follow you, am I right? They do. They like to follow you. Is it? So you got awesome friends. That's fantastic. And has there been any blessing that you've seen in your house because of the fact that a cell group's running there? What blessing? Can we maybe have a mic quick? What blessing have you seen in your house?
First things first, with myself.
First things first. That was the first sentence. That's very good.
With myself and schooling and stuff, I'm doing way better.
Your schooling, your marks have improved.
Yes, they improved.
So the demons are out of your schoolwork now.
Yes.
I'm just checking. Because the school books go home, eh?
Yes.
So do you have a cell group at school?
I'm going to start one.
Is it?
Yes, I have to start
So
one.
the teachers still think you're naughty today?
No.
No, I'm sure they do, because you haven't got the presence isn't there yet.
I'm going to start at school as well.
When?
The coming week or the week after.
Which is it? It's being
Bye.
recorded, eh? Gonna go on YouTube this.
The latest would be the week after the next.
The week after the next.
Yes.
Okay, so by the 15th of March,
Yes.
you'll be running a cell
Cell
group in
group.
your school.
Yes.
All right, why the week after? Why the week after the next? Why not the next?
It takes time, Pastor Gav.
It takes time.
Yes.
Now, what I want you to think about. So, there he lives in Rosettaville. Okay, Kenny. Standing here with a mic. Doesn't know what he's doing with a mic. He's like shaking. And you know that his house is a door to this church. People come into that cell group in his house. That's a doorway to the church. When he starts a cell group at the school, that's now another doorway. Kenny will have opened 2 doors to this church. People will be able to come into this church, people who are unsaved, not people from other churches, eh? You can steal from the Jehovah's Witnesses. The mosque, you can take. The Buddhist temple, Seventh-day Advent, no, not 7, okay, maybe. Let me leave them out. Sorry about them, I apologize. But the Mormons, all of those. Hindus, you understand? Atheists, eh? You bring them in. And when they come into his cell group, they've walked through the door of the church. Okay, and what message do you preach in your cell group?
I preach what is being preached on Sundays. My cell leader gives me, gives me notes and stuff, and then I have to take notes during my cell and on Sundays and preach from what
So
I've
you
learned.
preach what's being preached out today?
Yes.
So you're going to go out there to people who weren't in the service today, and you're going to preach today's message to them. So this word through you is going to go out there to people that are outside them, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay? So what is the call? Some of you look at Kenny and he looks naughty. He's naughty. He's already got one doorway that is opened into the church. He's got another one that is about to open in the church in his school. More than that, let me just tell you this. This boy, as naughty as he is a father of nations. Okay, now, is it only you that's supposed to be like that, or is everyone here supposed to be doing what you're doing?
Everyone.
So if you're naughty, you can still start a cell group. Hey?
Yes.
What happens when you start a cell group to your naughtiness?
It starts going away
Why does it go away?
because then you realize that there are people that you should be taking care of, and if you're doing naughty things, they're gonna do it 10 times worse.
Is it? And have you seen the guys you're leading do worse stuff than you?
Yes.
Hey?
Yes.
You think it's cool, you're doing, no one knows, no one knows, and the next thing you see them doing it. And they're doing it much worse than you. Hey?
Yes.
So you see how naughty you are by looking at them.
Yes.
And then you realize you need to change. Can we give Kenny a big round of applause? Why is it so important that you open up a cell group? Can I tell you a secret, but don't tell the people out there. I don't know what you're going to do about the stream, guys. If you're on stream, don't tell anyone. I'm telling you a secret. The people that are unsaved hate the church. They hate church buildings. But they'll come to a cell. And that's what I'm saying. When you open up a cell group, you open up a door for people to come in the church. You know how many people won't come to a church service, but they'll come to a cell group at your house. And so, that's the first awesome thing. That's the reason we do it. But you know what comes with it? Is God's protection. Because now you're looking after His business, He's now obligated to look after you. And that's what God will do. What I want you to realize, in our church this week, and I went and I checked up on this morning. This week in our church, we had about 123 cell groups that met. There were over 700 people that attended those 123 cell groups. That's 123 doors that were open into the church. And you know that one of those cell groups was at a place called Jafta, which is a home for people that, because of their age, their body's failing them. And even those people who are right at the end of their lives, that cell group loses people not because of lack of consolidation, but because they die. And even there, coming out of the word that's preached in this church, you know that people's lives are being changed at a time when there should be nothing left. They're in a wheelchair, they've got a walker, there's nothing left, they're on oxygen. They're inviting other people to come to a cell meeting, and their lives are changing. And in that stage where there's no hope because your body's collapsing, they are finding hope in Jesus' name. Come on, Active Church, you should give the Lord a huge round of applause for that.
Mama, I was thinking that we could go to church this Sunday.
But I thought you said you hated churches after Papa's funeral.
I did not accept a religion. I accepted a person. From that moment, I knew I had to preach the gospel. God saved me so that I could save others.
That's enough, sister.
I thought you were better than this, man.
Jesus loves you, and He wants to save you. I believe that God is calling us to start a church.
What is up with you, God?
You can be free if you accept Jesus into your heart.